speaking of which, there he is. How about that? Let's get Ken Scott on the show. Okay, so Kenneth, Kenny, Ken, or K Scott? What are we doing here, man? Oh, what happened? I bumped him. My bad. Go right ahead.
Man. You didn't bump me out. God,
You're already out.
Like,
You're out.
Man. Threw me
I'm
on
kidding.
out.
And look at the 2 on the wall behind you, man.
Oh, yeah. You see it. You know, the university that just blessed me so graciously with that. So I had to put it up on the wall.
Amen to that. Kenny, let's catch up, man. Like, where have you been? I didn't even see you there, but I was just telling everybody that the time that I covered Utah, you were one of the best guys to talk to. You're that dude who, no matter if it's raining, shining, snowing, you're always got a smile on your face. You're always in a good space. Like, what makes you tick, man?
You know, my family, honestly, that's what makes me tick. And in regards to ticking in a negative way, probably people that are not gracious about life and all the things that it encompasses and the things that it can provide to us, you know. And so for me, you know, I'm always smiling, positivity, because I feel like that's the best cure to anything, is just being optimistic about your situation. And so that's what keeps me going, man.
Oh, Kenny, how about this story? I'm going to drop a breaking news story on you.
Uh-oh.
The Buffalo Bills have announced that Damar Hamlin is neurologically intact. He is showing extremely positive signs towards recovery from critical condition due to that cardiac arrest situation. Dude, that's crazy. You played the game.
Ooh.
What did you think when you saw that Damar Hamlin situation?
When I first saw it, I didn't expect it to have that type of outcome. I was like, because it looked like a regular tackle. Like, it happens many times. And when I seen it and the way he just fell, I just broke. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It just made me just grateful for all the items that, you know, I went through in football and not had to have that type of outcome. And then for the future of football, I'm like, man, how do you play after that? Like, yeah, that's tough, especially for defensive players, because, you know, they're the headhunters, you know, trying to bring someone down. And
I think we forget sometimes, Kay, that you guys are just human beings. Like, when you're playing football, you're not a guy that, okay, well, the game's over, let's hit the off switch and hang him on a hook.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're a human being, and I think sometimes we forget that, and I think especially, you know how rabid Utah fans are, and I think sometimes we get after guys too much. I just think that Hamlin situation, and thank God that you hear that his brain seems to be intact, man. How awesome is that news? But I just think we forget that you guys go home, like, obviously everything you went through with your mom, your family, like your life, like, I mean, you guys have lives outside of football, and I think sometimes we too easily forget that.
For sure. And another thing is too, it's like I heard someone say, I think it was Deion Sanders that just said it. I was watching this Coach Prime flicks. He said, keep work from home and keep home from work. Something of that nature, right? Separating the two. And, you know, that's what you got to do because it can take a toll on you, as I've seen many times through my player career.
By the way, I love that Coach Prime show. Oh, that is, I'm telling you, man, me and Mrs. Monty were sitting on the couch the other day, flipped that thing on, and we watched both episodes that were available. You turn Deion Sanders on, K. Scott, you're not turning that off.
You're not. And, man, I know we're talking about Utah, but think about what he's about to do at Colorado. People just want to be around him. Like the players, if you get a call from Deion Sanders, I don't care if I'm a D lineman. I'm picking up his phone call. Like, that's the type of impact Deion Sanders has. Any recruit is available to him. Anybody.
Yeah. By the way, you want to talk about gnarly injuries. That toe thing that he went through, he almost had his leg. Dude, I was almost like, oh, my God.
Yeah, I didn't. So when Shannon Sharp was interviewing him like a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about you 8 toes down, huh? And I said, oh, that was hilarious. But I didn't think about, like, I didn't know he had his toes amputated. I said, oh, whoa,
dude,
crazy.
And that gash on his leg now, that's crazy. But yeah, real quick. So what are you up to now, man? What occupies your time these days?
So for me, man, I know people probably see it, but I love writing. So I'm getting ready to publish 4 more books this year. 4 of them, which is a memoir, and then 2, I'm trying to do a children's series for children's books for both of my kids, so they can have something to look up to when they, you know, get older, be the cool kids in school that has a book. And so that's what I'm doing. Obviously, music, that's something I love doing as well, which I performed at halftime. And then I have, the affordability to go around speaking. Did a TED talk about a couple months ago, which was pretty good.
I saw it.
That opening up doors. So that was pretty well. So that's what I'm doing with my time nowadays.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your time at Utah, because my opinion always was that you were underutilized. And I know that that's, reflecting back, that's probably not where I should start. But let me ask you then directly, do you feel like you had a good run at Utah? Did you get everything you needed to get out of being a Ute?
Of course I would want 10 passes a game, but, I just had to figure out that's just not the style of offense, that we ran at that time, and so that's something I had to get over and put my ego aside, especially when you have guys I came into the program was a spread offense, and that's where I was assuming that I was going to be inserted to, thinking about the Sugar Bowl years, seeing how they passed the ball like 30, 40 times, receivers having 1,000 yards, 800 to now your top leading receivers only having like 400 yards, and that can be a hit at your ego, and you have to turn into a more blocking type of receiver. But at the end of the day, I'm just grateful for all the opportunities I did have, created super crazy bonds within the team. But would I have wanted the ball more? Of course. But I feel like I took advantage of the opportunities that, were thrown my way, whether it was a pass interference call or me actually catching the ball. So, of course I would have wanted more passes, but, we did a tremendous things in shaping the trajectory of where the program's headed now.
But it's interesting that you bring up the kind of offense, because my biggest complaint with everything that Kyle Whittingham's done, and he has done amazing things at Utah, the one thing he's never been able to do is have, outside of Alex Smith, I think, but he's never been able to have that guy who's the best quarterback in the country, let alone the conference. He's never teamed that guy with the great receivers and great running backs. And it just seems like, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's always been, the quarterback position has always been an issue with Kyle Whittingham at Utah.
I wouldn't say it's an issue, because if you think about it, we've had elite 11 quarterbacks, and a lot of people would be like, man, give me that quarterback, because Travis Wilson was an elite 11 quarterback, Connor Manning was an elite 11 quarterback.
Manning.
Yeah, I think Brandon. Why am I forgetting Brandon's last name? Dang it. Brandon Cox. There we go. Brandon Cox.
Oh, yeah.
Elite 11. We had a lot of talented quarterbacks that if any other program would have took a hand on, they would have been, I want that kid, And it's just the system, you have to be privy to the system, and that's what happens. And you just got to be a part of the right system to prevail.
And I also think star ratings are the scourge of a teenager's life, frankly. I don't think whether you're a 2-star or a 5-star, I just don't think it matters. You've got to go somewhere and develop. And I guess the question for me is, if you're an elite 11 quarterback, look at Connor Manning, because I think Connor had a small opportunity. He was never the guy at Utah. So whether you're Connor Manning, Travis Wilson, head over heels at Michigan, my point is, you're a great quarterback. You're really talented. Is it Utah, which is why you don't wind up being at the top of your game? Because I don't feel like, if you're a quarterback in this country, if you're Arch Manning or whoever you want to point to, you're not like, man, I'm a quarterback, I got to go to Utah. I'm a wide receiver, I need to get 10 targets a game. You're not thinking Utah. I'm a corner, I'm a defensive lineman, I'm a linebacker, my last name's Barton, I'm going to Utah. You know what I mean?
And the running back and lineman position, that's something that we've been popular about in regards to getting those guys the ball, getting them the touches.
Yep.
From when I started, every running back, from John White to Devontae Booker, then after Booker, Williams, and then every year there's going to be a running back. That's just, if you're a running back and you want to have a successful career, you want to go to Utah, because that's what that's the type of style that we play with. We want to run the ball, and create opportunities out in space. But systematically, as a receiver, when it comes to you have to put your ego aside a little bit. You look at players like Solomon Enos, 4-star recruit coming out of high school, great talent,
NFL family,
right? NFL family, And it's all about the system, really, that that's supported. So a lot of players, I have conversations about this often. People think because you have some great stats that you're a great player. No, that's not really the case. It's just you just have more opportunity than said person. If you would have put Solomon Enos in a pass happy offense, I'm pretty sure he'll be productive. If you would have put Devon Vele in Arizona pass happy offense, you'd have 1,500 yards. So it just depends on the opportunity, really. And so I don't really look at stats nowadays. I just look at, okay, what does he do with the opportunity? What does his framework look like? Just the technicalities of it. But we have the players and the skill set. It's just our system, and the way we operate that is best for us to win games. That's really what it comes down to.
Obviously the college football playoff is changing. The meaning of the Rose Bowl is changing. I mean, you're coming off of, and as a guy who played football, how much is the hangover? How hard is the hangover when you win 2 back-to-back Pac-12 championships and you lose 2 Rose Bowls? Obviously, last year that loss was really tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, your leader goes down in Cam. Like, how tough is that hangover to get past?
Man, that's tough, man. I know they were hurting after this game, man, because, man, you went there 2 straight times, and the result wasn't the way you wanted it. And honestly, outside looking in, I know Penn State is a great team. They only lost to Ohio State and Michigan. But you kind of thinking like, man, we should have got that one,
Yep.
But I think it's going to be motivation, fueling them for coming in the off season into the new year, because this upcoming schedule this year, I looked at it, I was like, holy crud, this is going to be a pretty tough,
Yeah.
So hopefully this can fuel them all the way through so that, it can be good for them in this like stretch of coming into the new year.
Yeah, and I think that the thing, when I hear you say that, the thing that really comes to mind is Kyle Whittingham's got a job to do here. And I know that obviously the recruiting class is fantastic. Obviously, he's bringing in a lot of talent. But give me your feelings on what Kyle Whittingham was like when you played for him. What kind of coach is he on the day-to-day when we don't hear from him or see him and you guys are interacting? What kind of man, what kind of coach is Kyle Whittingham?
Dude, I love Coach Witt, man. He's like the best. Like, I know he seems like he's all the way like laser. He is laser focused. Don't get that wrong. He is laser focused, but like off the field, he's such a genuine, soft guy. Like, he's just a good guy. Like, he calls you to check up on you, make sure you're all right. Like, he just loves to do different activities, just like a regular person. And he's really down to earth. I know when I come visit the Utah facilities, he allows me just to kick it in his office with him, and we just shoot the jazz about everything, about like, whether it's bicycling, snowboarding, anything, and so Coach Witt, he is, even though it doesn't look like it on the outside, he is the ultimate players coach. And there's a reason why all the players want to come back to support him, because he's just a great guy. Like, you can even ask Andy Phillips. They be going snowboarding and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a cool dude, man. I want him to make himself a book before his career ends, because I think it'll be impacted with a lot of lessons within it.
Do you it's funny, everybody assumes, I don't believe that he will retire. Certainly not now. How long do you think he coaches?
Oh, I had the thought before that, okay, if he wins the Rose Bowl, this may be it. But since they want to expand the playoffs, I think it gave him new blood. He's like, oh yeah, I start smelling something. Okay, the playoffs is here. All right, now let me wait till the playoffs. So I think it may be probably like another, honestly, 5 to 7 years till we can ask that question, because the playoffs is here. We've always been around the 8 to 10 range at the end of the season. And so, being the playoffs is extended to the 8 teams, we might get in there and give it a shot. So you never know.
Is he a national championship caliber head coach? Is Kyle Whittingham the guy that can lead the Utes to a title?
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. Like, this man needs a statue. All the stuff that he's able to accomplish. I remember during my tenure, like, there's so many people trying to get him. Like, he's just so loyal to Utah. And so, like, recruits, I'm like, man, if I want consistency at a head coaching program, I'm going to Utah. Like, that he's always going to be there. No matter how much money is thrown at him, he's going to stay put at Utah. And so that's what I love about it. And it feels good for, like, alumni like myself to be able to come back, home, technically, and still see the program where it is the same guys, the same coaches, the younger brothers of people like Lander Barton. I remember when he was like 8 years old, and now he's who he is at Utah. I'm like, man, and then it's just a beautiful feeling. It feels like family every time I do come up there.
But do you have enough accountability in this program? Because the great Lendale White, a guy I know pretty well at USC, tweeted directly at Lincoln Riley the other day. Did you see that?
No.
So they go down to the Cotton Bowl, and they lose to Tulane. USC does.
Yeah, Tulane.
Yep. And so Lendale White, was part of some of the greatest teams ever at USC, said that bend don't break S that you brought from OU ain't gonna cut it. Like calling out Lincoln Riley's defense.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that's probably the tone I would use.
Yeah.
But is there that level of accountability? Because it seems like in Utah, there's a bit of apathy. We went to the Rose Bowl. It was a good year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, is there accountability on that level at Utah, do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it is. You know, I see over the years, Coach Witt is starting to let the offense be more fluorescent. You know, before what we were doing. It was going to run the ball. If it was 3rd and 7 or more, we're going to throw at the sticks and then continue to run the ball. Now we're getting some flavor to the offense. You know, it's starting to throw the ball. You know, do different type of plays where there's jet sweep, different formations, motion. So we're adding some stuff to the offense. You know, something that kind of like kept us one-minded. And so I feel like he's growing. He's letting the new era develop around him. You are still going to have a strong defense. Special teams hasn't been where it usually is at, which was probably one of the areas we're going to have to take into account next year. But, defense is always going to be strong. Special teams is going to get better. Offensively with Cam, Keithy coming back, we can still see it's going to be there with the recruits coming in and JC guys. I think we're going to be pretty good this year. But there is accountability. And I think he understands that with the new game nowadays, you have to put up points. And so he's allowing the offense to do a lot of different things, as we can see.
I think Cam Rising's one of the most interesting figures in this program right now. But the timing of this injury, and obviously this thing's lingered a little bit now, and I know he had a similar injury early in high school, but I mean, you tore your ACL, man. You're going to have surgery now. Like, you're talking for him, hopefully it's 9 months, but that's 9, 10, 11, 12 months, man. That puts you past next season. Like, they're going to have to, with all due respect to Bryson, I think they're going to have to go out and get a quarterback.
And that's big kudos to Bryson too, the way he's been able to step in. I know when he stepped into the game and he threw his first pass, I think it was like a drop or something like that, but that wasn't on him. But I like the confidence in which he has. I feel like he's going to earn himself a scholarship here within the upcoming year, or sooner in spring ball. But we have Nate Johnson. The kid's been fantastic, very explosive. And I'm sure they're going to be recruiting for probably another quarterback just to solidify that group, especially since Jaquindon Jackson is now full-time running back, full-time. So I think they're going to go out and find another recruiter. So especially with the lingering issue with Cam Rising coming from the Rose Bowl onto this new year.
Kenny, you got to get Jaquindon Jackson the football. Like, I don't know how. But that kid's just to be a quarterback, then to take the running back spot and I think he flourished. I thought he did way better than I thought he would do. Like, that Mackay transferred is in the port. Like, to me, that says, hey, there's a lot of competition there. I'm a graduate kid. I need to go get reps. Like, I think that running back room at Utah, there's going to be some heat there, and I want to see what Jaquindon can do.
Yeah, especially with those, because I was watching film on those 2 4-star running backs. I was like, man, we got some good guys coming in, and we got JJ, and we got Glover in there too, and Chris Curry comes back. I said, oh my God. So it's going to be a very talented group. And so when I look at that, especially when you look at our receiver room, I heard Devon Velez thinking about leaving because he's getting older. Might try a shot at the NFL. Solomon Enos is gone. J.D. Dixon's gone. Munir McClain moved to tight end. So
you got any eligibility left?
I wish, man. There's this guy from Oregon that had 9 years of eligibility or 8 or something like that. I said, what?
We can throw you a fade to the pylon. Let's go.
Like, give it to me. Let me stretch this hammy real quick, man.
We need Guy Holiday yelling at you to high point the ball at the pylon. That's what we need in this world.
Man, speaking of that, what's crazy? I wonder if he'll come back. Being at the vacancies there with the wide receiver coach moving to Mississippi State. I wonder, what they're thinking about.
We just talked to him a couple of months ago now. He was not healthy when he left. He went through some stuff. When Guy left Utah, he went through some stuff. He's ready to go. He's in I think he told us he's in Scottsdale. Like he's ready to go. I would not be surprised to see him come back. College foot, that guy makes men, dude. I'm a big Guy Holiday dude.
Me too.
I think he makes men. I'd love to see him come back.
What's crazy? It was at the bowl game where we played him in 2015, and he came up to me right before the game. It was just, chatting it up with me. I'm like, man, this dude is cool, interacting with me. It was just having some good discussion. I'm like, man, that's the type of guy you want to play for. He's a really good dude.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you carving out some time. It was really good to see you. I appreciate your smiling. I appreciate your energy. And I'm just thrilled to see you, man. I really enjoyed the time, the very little time, obviously, that I got to spend with you when you were at Utah. But it's just really good to see you, Kenny. I'm glad you're doing well.
Oh, man, appreciate it so much, man. Thank you for having me on. Go Utes. Don't bash us too hard, man. Give us some love.
Come on, you're going to give us a U? Come on, you're going to give us a U. Hey, there we go. Kenny, I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Take care.
There we go. Kenny Scott. Man, how do you not love that guy?